Today what we're going to be doing is a tier list of all the Pokemon, well, a quote tier list. I'm basically predicting what tiers they're going to go into, except I stole PokeMMD's tier list and just changed the tiers. So shout out to good old Pokeaim. Thank you, Joey, for quote-unquote letting me, I didn't ask his permission, completely steal his tier list and video idea in general. So make sure to smash a like and subscribe on that note. And yeah, let's just get into the video. Let's talk about, who do we want to go first? Let's see, let's talk about the new mons first. Let's get some, let's keep those impressions up by talking about the good Pokemon first. What's this guy called? Oh, it's Ogie Dogie or something. Wow, what a terrible name for an even more terrible Pokemon. Okay, quick rant to open things up. I'm just gonna put that there for now. This is the worst designed Pokemon, I think, maybe of all time. Genuinely, except for maybe like Cramorant, I don't think I can name a Pokemon that looks more awkward. Not even like I even like Cramorant for being stupid, but this is it's a bad ugly. It doesn't look good. I hate this Pokemon. It's disgusting. Its head is too small and its legs are too small. The scarf doesn't make sense. Its coloring is terrible. I hate this Pokemon. But despite my hate for the Pokemon and its ridiculously stupid name, let's talk about its tiering. It has obviously really good attack, it has good defense, solid special defense, it has okay speed. I'm thinking I'm actually going to leave it in Uyou, because its typing isn't too special anymore, like it's Toxicroak, but on crack, kind of. Its signature ability is pretty cool, because it means stuff like Drain Punch can toxic poison the opponent, which is nice. I feel like Showdown is poisoned in my brain, because now instead of badly poisoned, I say toxic poison, just from saying like the TOX everywhere, but I don't see Ogie Dogie being OU just because it's not very fast, and its defensive typing definitely leaves a lot to be desired. Because it's slow, a lot of Pokemon can outspeed it and hit it with like really strong either special attacks like Iron Val or like a Headlong Rush from like a Great Tusk or something. It's going to be doing a little bit too much for it to compensate from, I think. But I feel like it'll be useful in OU. I don't think it's going to go anywhere below RU because its speed is pretty good for its defenses, correction. It's relatively fast for how bulky and strong it is, and its defensive typing isn't terrible. Offensive typing is pretty cool and it gets some good coverage moves, so I'm thinking UU's a good placement for it. Let's go to the better of the two, Munkidori. Much less terrible design, by the way. I still hate it. I think it's ugly as hell and has a stupid name. But but let's put it in. I'm thinking OU, to be honest. I think this guy. Ooh, is that bold? I feel like that might be bold. What are we thinking? What are we thinking, chat? What are we thinking, chat? I'm not live streaming this. Put your thoughts in the comments, by the way. Give me those impressions. I'm thinking I'm gonna put this guy, I'm thinking for now I'm gonna keep it in OU, because the ability to get Toxic Poison based off a special attack is kind of stupid. Having Nasty Plot is obviously fantastic, it has good stats, it's a fast special attacker. Poison Psychic is honestly a pretty solid offensive type combination in combination with its coverage options. Notably, it has Shadow Ball for Golden Go, and that's kind of it, but hitting Golden Go is a very important thing to do in this climate. And I don't know what else I want to say about Munkidori. Strong, has good Nasty Plot, it's got good stab with Sludge Wave, Sludge Bomb, it's got Psychic, Psyshock, Shadow Ball for coverage, just strong, fast, and once again, having the ability to Toxic Poison or badly poison off a, like, maybe +2 special move is kind of ridiculous, so good for Munkidori. He's definitely the best out of the 3 new Pokemon. And speaking of which, let's talk about Pheasantipity now. And I am really divided on these two. I feel like everybody thought Pheasantipity was going to be more of the strong special attacking type, and then Game Freak was like, well, no, you're going to have Spadef. I'm thinking Enu, because this Pokemon doesn't know what it wants to be, right? Because it has good stats to be like a specially defensive ball, and it has a good typing for it too, but then it doesn't have any of the move pool required to be like a defensive utility Pokemon. Like, the only, like, it has Roost, which is obviously good for recovery, but then its only real, like status option is Taunt, which is, like, okay, I guess. The ability to, once again, Toxic Poison based off of, just, like, any move is kind of cool. So, like, U-Turn, it does have U-Turn, which is good. It's basically like Sneasler on crack. If you think getting regular poisoned by getting hit with the U-turn is ridiculous, imagine getting toxic poisoned by a U-turn. That is even more tilting somehow. It has like really good offensive move pool, right? It has SD. I think it has the SD plot too. It has great coverage options. It's got like a Moonblast. It's got a bunch of flying moves. Like Sludge Bombs, Heat Wave, stuff like that, and on the physical side it's got like Gunk Shot, Play Rough. It has a ton of really good tools, but its stat spread doesn't really match its move pool. So I think it's going to be NU for basically that reason alone. Do we want to keep talking about the new let's talk about some shitters. Let's get out of the way Ariados. Let's get out of the way Livani. Let's get out of the way... scrolling through here, Volbeat, Nomize, and Fion. Okay, there we go. Those are some good shitters to get out of the way to begin with. So we have Ariados to start off with. I'm gonna get these out of the way quickly because everyone kind of expects them to be bad. Ariados, basically terrible typing, terrible stats. Honestly, it has a pretty good move pool, but it doesn't really have anything to make use of it. Like, I thought this thing had high attack, but it's like base 90, so, and then it has base 30 speed, so you really can't do anything, like, you can't get things done with this Pokemon. It's too slow to make use of its offenses, it's too slow to make use of its defenses, so basically you just use it with the Sash to get up Sticky Web, and that's it. Livani is a slightly different case, where it has better stats than Ariados, but they're still bad. Has terrible defensive typing, and terrible offensive typing. It can, like, SD and stuff, like, it has actual speed, unlike Ariados, but it really can't make use of that just due to its stabs being bad and having no coverage. So, once again, you're getting up Sticky Web with this Pokemon, and that's basically it. Volbeat and Illumise are kind of basically the same Pokemon, but with stats flipped, I think. Basically, they're Prankster, the Pokemon. You could, like, Encore and stuff with them, you can... I don't know if they can defog anymore, you can, like, Rain Dance, which is pretty cool. I feel like that might be fun for like the lower tiers if you need. You have like Sableye and you maybe on like PU if you need like a manual rain dance or something, you could use them. Other than that, there's not much to these Pokemon, just bad stats, bad typing, not much more to say. And then Fion, just bad stats, and no move pool to make use of those bad stats. So yeah, those Pokemon are out of the way. Let's talk about something a little more interesting. Let's talk about I haven't put anything in PU yet. What's a PU Pokemon? Making the divide between PU and untiered is always tough for me. Let's get another shitter out of the way. Let's get Mightyena out of the way. Terrible stats. It's got some fantastic abilities, but those abilities can't make use of its terrible stats. And that's pretty much it. Like, Terra isn't going to say this with Sucker Punch. When Sucker Punch is coming off like a base like 90 attack stat or something, even with like Terra Dark, that's still going to be ass. And obviously just atrocious bulk. Like, a Light Breeze will knock this Pokemon over. I'm gonna blow my nose in a couple minutes, so I'm gonna pause the video, I'm gonna blow my nose, and that would kill Mightyena. Okay, what's a PU Pokemon that's been changed considerably? Let's talk about, Vigovable, there we go. Vigovable lost Roost, which is terrible for it, because previously, well, it was like a solid defensive Pokemon. Like, even though it had bad typing, for defensive, capabilities, it has good ability in Levitate, and just a whopping defense stat for absolutely no reason. So it was a good defensive Pokemon with good utility with Sticky Web, and it was able to hit really hard coming off of its like base ridiculous whatever the hell, like 130 or something special attack stat. So Vigovable, I feel like it'll still be a solid PU Pokemon because it still has all these things except without Roost, and albeit losing Roost is a kind of terrible thing, which is why I'm going to go ahead and put Gligar in ZU. I feel like it still has a lot of good capabilities, and it's still just ridiculously strong on the special side, so I feel like it'll get some sort of a niche. And Gligar, I'm sorry Gligar, even with the Violet. The thing is with Gligar, or Gliscore, which I'm going to put back in OU again. Actually, we'll think about that later. is that because Poison Heal is still around for Gliscore, it's still able to, even without Roost, which is a terrible, terrible loss for it, even without Roost, it's still able to have like decently reliable recovery, just because 1, it's 12 point something whatever % per turn, and 2, it can't be knocked, which is fantastic for Gliscore. And Gligar does not have this, because Roost was its only option for recovering HP. It doesn't have Poison Heal, and it has basically no healing anymore, so it cannot function as a defensive Pokemon. Unless you want to use Wish with it, but fitting Wish on a low tier team is like, I don't know if that's going to happen. Like, you can try your best, but I'm not sure about that. Let's talk about Gliscore in more detail. Obviously it lost Roost, which we've already talked about. It did gain Spikes and T-Spikes, which are 2 great things to gain. It still has Knockoff, still has like U-Turn, SD Facade, EQ. Basically it's still Gliscore. Except, actually, I think it doesn't have Defog either. Yeah, Gliscore doesn't get Defog either. It still gets a lot of hazards, which is nice. I feel like SD, Facade, EQ, with that sort of shenanigans, with like Protect or something, is still going to be good. I feel like losing Defog and Roost are really big hits to Gliscore, and I feel like it's going to be Uyou this generation. And I feel like the reason for this isn't going to be strictly because of these nerfs, but I feel like it's a combination of these nerfs combined with just amazing competition from other ground types. Like, you still have Lando, of course, which Lando did suffer a couple nerfs, but it's still Lando. But then you have Great Tusk now in the mix too, and Gliscore was already competing for a spot on most teams with Landorus, and now that Great Tusk is also in the mix, it's just going to decrease its usage by quite a bit, and I feel like that will be enough to knock it down to Uyou in combination with the nerfs. This isn't to say it's not going to be a good OU Pokemon. I feel like it still will be a good OU Pokemon. I just feel like it has a lot of competition as a ground type, and even as a ground type, I feel like Great Tusk is just a significantly better option to slap on most teams. It also doesn't have reliable recovery, but it's still maintained hazard removing capabilities, and it just has a much higher offensive presence on the battlefield immediately, so it doesn't have to SD or something, which I feel like is a good advantage above Gliscore. Let's talk about who do we want to go next? Let's go with Chimecho. Now, I'm gonna think, yeah, I want to say this is Piu. I want to think that it's not going to drop to Uyou. It did get Draining Kiss this generation, and we've seen that Calm Mind Psychic types with Terra Fairy Draining Kiss are really good in terms of low tiers. And I feel like Chimecho is going to be no different, especially because it does have reliable recovery with Recover. What else do I want to say about Chimecho? It has good defensive stats, but they're not like tremendous or anything. Obviously, Terra Fairy Draining Kiss, because it's below 60 base power and not priority move, if you do Terra Fairy, it does get a slight damage buff, I believe. So, good for him. Yeah, that's all I want to say about Chimecho. I feel like it'll escape the untiered allegations this generation. A Pokemon I don't think is going to escape the untiered allegations this generation is regular Sandslash. He got absolutely no changes this generation, and in addition, one thing that Sandslash had going over other Pokemon, which was access to Spikes, is now no longer interesting anymore. So Sandslash is even more generic than it was before. So poor Sandslash, he's trying his best. Let's move on to the better the cooler Sandslash, if you will. I'm gonna slap him in NU. The changes to Snow are fantastic for Sandslash, because it already had really good defense, and being doubled in Snow is kind of insane. The reason I want to put it in NU is because right now that's where Obama Snow is, and the spawn isn't going to be OU just because it doesn't have the power for that. But I feel like it'll make a great pairing in NU with its Snow setting counterpart. It did lose out on Triple Axle this gen. It does have things like Ice Spinner now, but that's just like not powerful enough. And I feel like Sandslash will be a good lower tier Pokemon again this generation, especially with the new changes. Let's talk about Snow a little more. A Ninetales I think is going to finally have its chance to shine in OU because of the new Hail to Snow change. Doubling Alola Ninetales defense is fantastic, because previously, while it was like a fast support type Pokemon, it was still really frail. And Ice is, of course, a really bad defensive typing. So it goes from being like a really frail Pokemon that you really want to have more longevity to now being able to live like a Cinderace Pyro Ball easily, which is pretty fun. And of course, I feel like not only are the changes for Ninetales good in terms of snow, I feel like it's just a better climate for it because it's such an offensive, fast-paced climate in Gen 9 right now, and I feel like Ninetales Aurora Veil is really good for facilitating that. So I feel like Ninetales is finally going to have its chance in this, the sun, so to speak. Let's talk about Sun, regular Ninetales. NU, I don't have too much to say about Ninetales. I feel like it typically ends up in like NU. Okay, I'm going to put it this way. If Sun gets banned from NU, it's going to ZU. If Sun does not get banned from NU, it's going to be NU. And I feel like I don't have too much more to say about that. Let's talk about... You know, let's keep it going with the Sun Pokemon. Let's talk about Victory Bell. Let's talk about Shiftry. Let's talk about... that's pretty much it in terms of the Sun Pokemon. I want to talk about Shiftry first, because Shiftry did get a cool new move, or not new move, it got a cool new ability in Wind Rider, which makes it immune to stuff like Blizzard, like Heat Wave, Hurricane, and moves like those, which is really good defensive utility for a Pokemon that has basically zero. Unfortunately, it got nothing else, and I don't think that it's going to save Shiftry, so I'm sorry, bro. Its other Sun counterpart... let's talk about Victory Bell. What do I think about Victory Bell? Victory Bell usually ends up in, like, PU, ZU, I want to say. Do I want to put in PU or do I want to put it in ZU? I feel like getting Weather Ball back is just a nice enough change where I'm going to put it in PU. Like, even if you want to run, like, Manual Sun in PU or something, I feel like Victory Bell's a really good, strong option. Let's get the other weather Pokemon out of the way. Politoed, ZU, because, guess what? Pelipper exists. This should not be a shocker. Ludicolo, ZU, it basically didn't get anything, which is not what a Ludicolo needed. Poliwrath is Poliwrath. I'm sorry, bro. You're not doing anything. What are other rain Pokemon? Menifique. Nice little OU addition, I think. Menifique didn't necessarily get too much this generation. I feel like the only change that it got was getting Flip Turn, which of course is good for it because, well, it could previously use U-Turn. Flip Turn is just nice because, you know, it gets the stab bonus, so it's a little bit stronger. Getting Tail Glow back is obviously amazing for Menifique. It probably would have been ass otherwise, so Menifique got its signature move back, which is nice. Unfortunately, Xurkitree is not here to make good use of that. But I mean, we got Volbeat too, am I right, guys? But being able to Scald is good for Menifique. Being able to Terra is good for Menifique because it can Terra into like a Fairy type. So I feel like Terra helps Menifique be able to be used on more like balance style teams, in opposition to just being like on a purely rain team. What other things did it get? I feel like it didn't get much, but I feel like it's just Menifique, and Menifique is Menifique. Great stats, great typing. It has pretty much all the coverage it needs, and that Tail Glow is amazing, obviously. And benefits from Terra pretty well. What's another OU Pokemon? Let's talk about Clef. Clef, I feel like a lot of people have been doubting Clef this generation, which I feel like is insane. You should not ever doubt Clefable. This Pokemon has been defying odds since freaking Generation 4, and every single generation since then, it has always been at least good in OU, and that is not going to change this generation. And losing Teleport is not going to mean jack shit in terms of Clefable's viability. This Pokemon is still going to be great. Magic Guard is such a amazing ability to have in a generation where you're having 3 layers of spikes and stealth rocks and maybe T-spikes up every single game. Just being able to have Magic Guard and still being like a fairy type is basically all Clef needs to be viable, I think. It still has, it gained knockoff back. It did lose Soft Boil, but it still has Moonlight, which is a downgrade, but I mean, in a generation where Sun is as powerful as it is, I mean, having Moonlight in this isn't, like, that isn't the end of the world by any means. It still has Wish, access to Stealth Rock. It's still Clefable. At the end of the day, it's still Clefable. And I feel like, especially in the Hazard-infested meta, this Pokemon is still going to be very good. Do not doubt Clefable. Let's talk about another Pokemon I think is going to be Uyou. Do I want to put Mandibuzz? Yeah, I'll put Mandibuzz. Fuck it. Okay. Mandibuzz is Mandibuzz, right? And I feel like Mandibuzz's biggest attributes this generation is that it's a defogger that can beat Golden Go. And I feel like just because of that reason, it's going to be able to fit onto balance teams very nicely. So I'm going to give Mandibuzz a big old OU smack on the lips. Let's go to... let's go to Furret. Now, Furret got Tidy Up this generation. So it got Defog plus Dragon Dance in a single move, which is really funny, and it's really awesome. And will I be using Tidy Up Last Resort Terra Normal Silk Scarf Furret? Yes, I will be. Does it mean this Pokemon is not going to be ZU? No. I'm sorry, Furret, I love you. Let's move on to another shit normal type, Noctowl. Bad typing, bad stats, good ability and good move pool, shockingly, but it's not going to save Noctowl. I'm sorry. Let's go to... let's go to... I have nothing in RU. Let's think about RU. Let's go with Galarian Weezing. Let's go with... Mienshao. Let's go with... Let's stick to those two for now. Actually, no, let's go with Melodic. Yeah, let's go with Melodic. Okay. Galarian Weezing, obviously fantastic typing, retained Defog. Levitate is great in combination with this typing. And I mean, I guess you could run its other abilities, but like just use Levitate. Good move pool in terms of, like, it has Sludge Bomb, it's got Strange Steam, and it's got good coverage in, like, Fire Blast. I just feel like it doesn't have the stats to keep up with Power Creep this gen, which is why I put it in RU. And I feel like it doesn't benefit from Terra too much. Like, Terra Steel is cool with Levitate, because it's Steel, but you're a Levitator. Like, that's pretty cool. Let's talk about Mienshao. Regenerator is great, obviously, as an ability. It got Ice Spinner this gen too, so it's able to hit ground types and shit like Lando T, which is cool for OU, but I don't think it's gonna... It's obviously not gonna end up in OU just because of stat reasons. But I feel like RU is a good placement for it because Boots plus like Regen U-Turn, and then you have like Strong CC, now you have Knockoff and like Ice Spinner. Like, that's a good combo. Mienshao has a lot of good traits, so I feel like RU is a good placement for it. Let's talk about Melodic now. Despite getting Scald, like, in the trailer, it doesn't actually learn Scald, which is fucking hilarious. Unless I have my information wrong, but that is really funny. I'm sorry, Melodic. Melodic is just kind of a big fat wall that doesn't do much damage, especially now because it doesn't have Toxic or Scald. It has Haze, which is cool, I guess, and Recover, but it basically just sits on every Pokemon that comes in and, like, Surfs or Ice Beams it, or if it starts setting up, you can Haze it. It's just a big wall, and it can Terra Fairy too, which is cool, I guess. Let's talk about Diplin, which I'm also going to put in RU, which is an absolute shocker because at the beginning of this gen, I thought this Pokemon was going to be the biggest piece of shit or dog shit, untiered Pokemon on the planet, which, to be fair, if I was just going off the information I had before the DLC came out, I would completely have agreed with that and I would have put this in ZU where it belongs, but for some godforsaken reason, you can use a Neviolite on it. So, it goes from being a, like, decently bulky Pokemon with pretty bad offensive stats to a absolutely ridiculously mind-blowingly defensively bulky Pokemon with mediocre offensive stats. And I feel like that is what holds Diplin back the most, is the fact that it doesn't have too big of an offensive presence. Like, I was watching, I think Pokeaim used it in one of his live streams, and it was really good. It basically sat on everything, but that was kind of all it did, was sit on everything. Like, it would take a hit, and then it would go for Dragon Pulse and do like 30%, and it's like, wow, good chip, good job, Dipplin, I guess. Like, congratulations, woo, clapsies, confetti comes out. But this Pokemon is still ridiculously godforsakenly bulky with a Violet, and having Sticky Hold to make it so it can't get knocked off is really good. The only reason I think it's going to be Uyou is, once again, just because of its lack of an offensive presence. Like, Sticky Syrup, or whatever its move is called, just isn't, like, it isn't a good offensive tool like the other Apple Acid and Crabapple are, because you can just spam them, and because they drop your defenses, like, they get stronger over time, which is really good. But this is just a really weak move, and lowering speed over time is good because it's because it's good team support, but it just doesn't hit terrifically hard, which is just kind of sad. So I feel like Ari's a good placement. Ooh, yeah, and losing Thick Fat is a big downgrade over Appleton too, although a Violet is, like, it's a Violet. Like, what do you want me to tell you on that? I'm sorry. Let's talk about the Gen 4 starters now. Let's talk about Torterra. Yeah, let's do Torterra first. And, oh man, am I tempted. I feel like I like that. Torterra, I know a lot of people are really hyped about it in OU right now, but Shell Smash is obviously very good, but I feel like its biggest issue is that it doesn't have reliable stabs. Because Headlong Rush is fantastic, but lowering your defenses isn't great, because Torterra, even at +2, is still being able to be revenge killed by a lot of Scarfers. So dropping your defenses from your primary stab is really good, or is really bad. You could run white... Oh yeah, plus, just even at +2, in general, you're getting outrun by a lot of Scarfers. So if you don't want to get revenge killed, like, you kind of have to run White Herb. But if you're not running White Herb, it exacerbates the second issue of Torterra, which is that it doesn't really have reliable stab, because Headlong Rush we already talked about. Earthquake is, you really want the just like raw power of Headlong Rush over Earthquake, but there's the defense drop. Wood Hammer you really don't want on this Pokemon because you're already probably taking a hit to begin with, and you're basically just killing yourself by going for it. But then you want to run, like, what's your other option? Your other options are Bullet Seed and Seed Bomb. Seed Bomb is dog shit, so you're not going to use Seed Bomb because it's weak as hell and it's a grass type move. So you're going to want to run Bullet Seed, right? So you could run Loaded Dice on it. But if you're not running Loaded Dice, you're not running White Herb. And if you're not running White Herb, it's making it really easy for you to get revenge killed. So you're starting to see the problem that's emerging with here. Torterra has a lot of options, but a lot of them have problems because it's just like so limited in that aspect. So I think Torterra is going to be Uyou. Maybe, I feel like it's going to drop to Uyou, but I feel like it might get banned in Uyou depending. But I feel like it's not going to be sticking around as a true OU Pokemon. Infernape is really good, it's really fast, it's really strong. I feel like Raging Fury is actually a really underrated addition to its move pool, because Blaze is really good. Because previously your 120 base power Fire Stab was Flare Blitz, which Flare Blitz is really strong, but the issue is once you get into Blaze, once you click Flare Blitz, you die. So having a really strong fire attack that can actually make good use of Blaze, I feel like is a really good boost for Infernape. Of course it has like Close Combat and then Knockoff and U-Turn, and then the Elemental Punches, so it has a lot of good coverage and utility options for getting in and out of battle quick, so I feel like it'll still be a good UU Pokemon. And then Empoleon is the toughest choice because I don't know if I want to put it in OU or UU, because losing out on Defog and Scald are really big, but gaining Roost is so much bigger that I'm really tempted to keep Empoleon in OU. Like, good offensive stats, right? good defensive typing, good defensive stats, not great speed, but that's alright. And they changed its ability to be competitive now, which is basically a direct upgrade over Defiant, which is what it had previously, because now it can threaten more Pokemon with its higher special attack. So I'm really tempted to keep Employ on an OU, but it's kind of on the fence for me. We're gonna find out. Let's talk about more water type. Let's talk about Mr. Craw. Mr. Craw is going to be, I feel like it's going to be a RU Pokemon this generation. Woo! Good job, Mr. Craw. I feel like it's a little too slow this generation, because a lot of Pokemon, even defensive Pokemon this generation, are pretty fast, which is why I feel like it is not going to cut in an OU, but I feel like just that speed issue is going to be the reason it doesn't cut it in UU either. Like, it just doesn't have the opportunity to come in and threaten things with like a really big Choice Band knockoff or Crabhammer, or even like set up with SD as it does in like Gen 8, because there's just not as much it can set up on. And I feel like that's a big issue for Crawdaunt, which is why it's going to be RU, poor guy. Let's talk about Cramorant, a nice little PU Pokemon. Don't doubt this Pokemon. Having Gulp Missile is just... If this Pokemon didn't have Gulp Missile, it would be ZU easily, but Gulp Missile kind of carries it as an ability. 25% of the opponent's max HP and a defense drop after literally getting hit is like the hardest punish possible for a physical attack. So... obviously very good. Still good utility with like U-Turn, Roost and Defog, and then strong stabs like Surf and Brave Bird. So good PU Pokemon there. Let's go with... what other water types? Oh. I'm gonna ignore that I put that Pokemon there. I'm just gonna ignore that Pokemon in general. Let's ignore some more Pokemon. Let's see. Let's talk about Jirachi. I think Jirachi's going to be UU this gen, just because its typing just is not cutting it this gen. Being weak to Dark, Ghost, and Ground are like the three biggest no-nos of this generation, maybe in addition to Fighting and Fairy. So Jirachi is not great on the defensive side anymore. People are still going to try and cheese with Iron Head flinches, of course, and shit like that. I just feel like its utility sets aren't as great, which is why it's going to be able to fall to UU. So let's go to Ambipom. I feel like this gen, Ambipom is finally going to fall to PU, and it's finally going to be good. Reason being is that it doesn't have goddamn Return anymore, which is so sad. Poor Ambipom has to use Double Hit as its stab now. Which, to be fair, is technically like 3 base power stronger than Return. Like, Return was what, 102 at max? And then, I want to say Double Hit is 105 after all the calculations. So obviously Fake Out is really good. I feel like the biggest buff to Ambipom is just the item Boots, because Ambipom's playstyle is you come in, you fake out something, and then you like knock off or U-turn out. And I feel like Boots is a really good addition to Ambipom, because like I said, just his main goal is to come in and be an asshole. So I feel like that's really good for Ambipom, and I feel like it'll finally be good in PU this gen. Let's go to Golem, who I think is going to be PU, and as well as Alolan Golem, who is not on this tier list for some reason. I feel like Golem is really good just because of Terra. Like, being able to Terra into a different type is great for Golem because his typing sucks dick. And aside from his typing, it actually has a lot of good traits, like great HP, great attack, great defense, obviously terrible special defense and speed. But it still has some solid utility options, like it has rocks, it has like roar and stuff to phase, and then it has strong stab options in, like, you could run like Loaded Dice, Loaded Dice Rock Blast, you have like EQ and stuff like that. So I feel like Golem might be good in PU this gen. We'll just find out. Oh. I think that in Generation 9, Darkrai is going to be an OU Pokemon. let's think about it for a second. What counters does Darkrai have in OU? Let's actually open up Showdown. Let's open up Showdown. Oops. Enamorous outspeeds and kills it. There's no way in hell this shit's beating Garg. Actually, no, it probably does. It beats Tusk. Heatran, it probably beats Heatran. Iron Veil checks it offensively. Slowking beats it with Terra. Okay, I'm gonna reverse my statement. I think this almost was the generation that Darkrai is going to become an OU Pokemon. Because 135 special attack, that isn't that impressive anymore. Like, that's what Chi-Yu had, and Chi-Yu was OU for a while. And Chi-Yu also had an ability that actually did things. That actually made it stronger, and a secondary stab. Man, this is a tough choice. I'm gonna leave it Uber for now. We'll come back to you though. Let's talk about Shaman. Shaman Sky isn't also here. He would be Uber, so we're gonna. I can't like copy that or anything. Shaman will be, I think, a nice little RU Pokemon this gen. Good Seed Flare, good Earth Power, good for Shaman. What else is? I don't think it gained or really lost anything. It's kind of just like the same old Shaman, right? So I am feeling a good old RU. I'm going to put Ursaluna Blood Moon in OU, even though that might that might sound weird because Ursaluna Regular did just fall to UU, but I feel like Blood Moon has a lot of things going for it over Regular. For one, it's a special attacker, and special attacking is inherently better than physical attacking. I think it's Pokegame that has a video on that. If you want to actually get details on that, you can watch that after this one ends. Having basically normal type Gigaton Hammer is ridiculous. Normal type special Gigaton Hammer, correction. That can hit ghost types, correction. It has priority in Vacuum Wave. Earth Power is strong. Great ability. I feel like the biggest boost from this over Ursaluna, though, is it doesn't need a turn to activate Flame Orb. Which is why I feel all Guts Pokemon are never going to be OU. Which is why I'm going to preemptively put Conkeldurr in UU. I think that's fair. Yeah, I think that's fair. Let's talk about a new Pokemon. Let's talk about freaking Poltergeist, which, by the way, this Pokemon is stupid. They came up with this Pokemon while they were smoking crack cocaine. I think you use a good placement for it. Heat Proof's a good ability with this Pokemon. It's got Nasty Plot, which is good. Shadow Ball is obviously a good stab to have. Machagacha, despite being one of the stupidest named moves in all of Pokemon history, up there with, like, Make It Rain. That's a really good move to have because Machagacha, because Poltergeist is a pretty bulky guy, contrary to what he looks like. Giga Drain is obviously good, but then it has Scald properties as well, which is just like, why did they do that? Strength Sap is good. Yeah, I'm thinking of UU. Let's talk about Piloswine and Mamoswine. I'm thinking that's going to be the placement. Piloswine, right now, NU really needs a ground type, and I feel like NU might be Piloswine's new home. Just because electric types are freaking everywhere, and Sandaconda, you know, you can't check all of them with just Sandaconda. And a lot of Pokemon like Electrode have ways to get around Sandaconda now. So Piloswine might be a good new anchor for NU defensive teams. Mamoswine, I feel like is just too slow this gen, and it didn't really get anything. So I feel like obviously it still has strong Earthquake. Still gets like Crash, you got Knockoff. Whatever fighting move it got, like Superpower, maybe. I actually don't know if it still gets that in Ice Shard. But it's just too slow is the issue. It's too slow and it's not bulky enough to be able to take too many hits. So I feel like UU is going to be where it's going to end up. Let's get Morpeko out of the way. Morpeko's PU, I feel. I don't know if he was untiered last gen, but don't sleep on Morpeko. This guy is kind of strong with its signature move. Because you could, especially because you could run Adamant with it. My favorite thing to run it, I think it was actually ZU in Generation 8, was like Choice Band Morpeko with like Adamant Nature, max speed, max attack. Because you just come in, you click Aura Wheel, like you get a freaking kill basically because it's 110 base power coming off of max attack Adamant. And then that boosts your speed. It also has great support options like Rapid Spin and Parting Shot, and now it gets Knockoff, so it actually has a reliable Dark Step. So good for Morpeko. Let's talk about Yanmega, who I'm going to put in RU, because Yanmega got absolutely nothing this generation. It's still basically just Yanmega. Except with boots, I guess, which is cool for like speed boost sets. But other than that, it didn't really change anything about it. I think the proliferance of... I feel like that isn't a word. I feel like spikes being so common is good for it because, I mean, Stealth Rock is slightly less common? I don't know about that. No, I don't know about that. Yeah, I guess if you want. Some teams only run spikes, so you could, I guess, run Specs Yanmega to a little more success, but like, I don't know about that. Are you? Let's talk about the Ogre Ponds. Let's slap normal. Uyou, Fire and Uyou, Rock and RU, and N and Water and RU. Yeah, I think that's fair. I feel like the top two just have the advantage of having better better boosts when they terrestrialize. And, of course, the Fire one getting attack is really good for sweeping potential. The bottom two are still pretty good, but... I don't want to say worse typing, because... Okay, let's put it this way. Rock Grass is the most overrated typing in the game. Like, it has way more the weaknesses it has are really significant, and it really doesn't resist anything. Like, what's it resist? Like, poison? Poison and what else? I literally can't think of, like, poison and grass. Like, what else does it resist? I can't think of anything. So, it's really not as good as people think. Obviously, all these Pokemon having, spikes is good for it. All of them have, like, U-turn. Ivy Cudgel is a fantastic stab move. Sword Stance is great for setup. It has good offensive sweeping potential. Horn Leech is a good move. Power Up's a good move. It has good coverage. It has, like, superpower and stuff like that. So, it has a lot of, good traits. I just don't think it has the stats for OU. And I feel like the bottom two don't have, like, the advantage of the Terra boost. So, let's talk about Weezing. I'm gonna go with NU. I feel like it will be a solid NU defensive Pokemon. No, I'm gonna put it in PU. Terrestrialization is nice for it because it can Terra into, like, a Steel type, which, like I just said before, Levitate with Terra Steel is pretty cool. And, I mean, it's same old Weezing, right? It's got good defenses. Pain Split is not great for recovery, but it has recovery, which is good. Will-O-Wisp is good. Solid offensive presence because it has Sludge Bomb Poison potential and good coverage in Flamethrower. Just a solid Pokemon. I'll put it in PU. Let's talk about... let's talk about Snorlax. Man. Nah, I can't. I'm gonna go RU. Snorlax got nothing this generation. It is literally just Snorlax. And I feel like it's going to be RU because it is still literally just Snorlax. Yeah, I feel like its power level is a little bit too high for NU still. So yeah, I'm going RU. Ribombee! I'm gonna put in NU. Of course, Ribombee is still, you guessed it, Ribombee. In OU, it's gonna be good for getting up Sticky Web and Stun Spore and stuff. Very good offensive web setter. In NU, it might be good for like a Quiver Dance Sweeper just because it has, you know, solid stats, and of course, Fairy typing is amazing. And now, last but not least, let's talk about Kommo-o. I feel like Kommo-o is also going to be a good addition to UU this generation. Having its setup moves is obviously great. It does get Scale Shot now, which I feel like is not going to be used very often unless you want a really, really, really stupid Belly Drum Scale Shot loaded dice set. But Clinger Soul is still just going to be great on Kommo-o. And, ooh, Terra Normal Boom Burst is going to be cool. Actually, I might put in an OU just because Terra Normal Boom Burst. Okay. Yeah, let's re-look at what we have here and see if I want to make any adjustments. Darkrai? I'm gonna keep Darkrai in Uber. Yeah, I feel like I really can't move Darkrai down OU. Not this generation. Maybe after DLC 2 Darkrai, we'll see. What to do? I'm not gonna lie, I feel happy with all my placements. So, that being said, this video is going to come out like 2 days after the DLC came out. It is going to age like absolute milk and cheese and rotting apples in my basement. What was it? It's not gonna age well. So, please don't make fun of me in the comments when it is inevitably very wrong. I feel like it'd be fun to, like after the meta settles down, do like a review of this, see how things ended up. But for now, that's all I got. Make sure to like and subscribe. Boom, channel member. Boom, click one of the videos that's on screen now. Boom, have a good day.